This is part 2 of a series of videos about my recent cruise through Tennessee, Kentucky, and Alabama on this modern riverboat, American Serenade. She's the newest ship in the fleet for American Cruise Lines. And if you missed part 1 in this series of videos, there should be a link to it up in the corner of the screen right now. In part 1, we sailed out of Nashville and headed down the Cumberland River, cruising all afternoon, all night, and most of the next day. I had a GoPro positioned up at the bow of the ship, recording this time-lapse video that we're watching. We sailed all the way down the Cumberland River, crossing over the state line into Kentucky, and pretty soon after that, the Cumberland River becomes Lake Barkley. After sailing down Lake Barkley, we entered a little man-made canal that connects Lake Barkley to nearby Kentucky Lake. And once we made it onto Kentucky Lake, we approached the Kentucky Dam, which you can see up ahead. In real time, it took quite a bit of time to get through the lock at Kentucky Dam, but this time-lapse video allows us to watch it all happen a lot more quickly than it really happened that day. Once we made it through the lock, we were onto the Tennessee River, and I decided this would be a good time to shoot some aerial video of the ship using my drone. Normal passengers are not allowed to fly a drone from a cruise ship, but I'm a licensed commercial drone pilot, and American Cruise Lines had brought me all the way out here at their expense to shoot beautiful aerial shots like this of their newest ship. And it's tricky to launch a drone from a ship that's in motion. I nearly ran the drone right into a sunshade on the top deck of the ship when I launched it, but thankfully I escaped crashing it by about 1 inch and was able to get these beautiful shots of the ship coming down the Tennessee River. That's the Clark Memorial Bridge in the background, carrying Highway 60 over the Tennessee River. Just a few minutes later, our ship reached the point where the Tennessee River flows into and merges with the Ohio River, right at this point here. And now, sailing down the Ohio River at this point, we're looking at Illinois on the right side of the river and Kentucky on the left side. And we only have to sail a very short distance on the Ohio River to make our way to our next destination, the city of Paducah, Kentucky, over on the left side of the river. Straight ahead, that's where we're going to run the ship up to the shore. You can see our bow cover open up, and I'll switch to this drone shot so you can see why we opened up the bow. That is so a gangway can be extended out the bow, and that's how passengers get ashore. You're going to see that we had company. Another ship from American Cruise Lines was visiting Paducah that day. Her name is American Splendor, and as you can see, she is one of the paddle wheel style riverboats in the ACL fleet. And this spot where we're docked in Paducah is a really significant spot on the river. I'm going to fly the drone in for a little closer look at this spot where the Tennessee River flows into the Ohio River. Everything over on the left side of this shot, that's the Ohio River. And the Tennessee River is on the right, and it flows around that little island right where the two rivers meet. And then about 45 or 50 miles downriver from here, it all merges in to the mighty Mississippi River. Paducah is an interesting little town, and my wife and I had fun exploring it. She was really excited to visit the National Quilt Museum. I'll explain why as we look at some of the things we saw at the National Quilt Museum in Paducah. Back at home, my wife's got a 400-square-foot craft room, complete with a full-size quilting machine. So she was really excited when I told her that this cruise would not only take us to Nashville, but also to the home of the National Quilt Museum, Paducah, Kentucky. Honestly, quilting's not my thing, but even I enjoyed walking through the National Quilt Museum because it's not all just quilted blankets. There's so much more that quilters can do. Quilted clothing, for example. And a lot of the stuff they had on display was basically works of art. It wasn't meant to sit on top of a bed. It was meant to be displayed on a wall as an art piece. And when you moved in for a close look at some of them, the details were amazing. I've read reviews where people have said that they spent hours and hours at the National Quilt Museum. Neither me or my wife needed that long, but it really was an interesting place to walk through and look around. And I should mention that American Cruise Lines paid for free admission to the museum for any of her passengers that wanted to tour it. After visiting the National Quilt Museum, we walked a few blocks across town and were impressed with some of the cute little parts of Paducah. And this cute little dog we met downtown, a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. And my wife got a kick out of seeing this license plate on a car parked downtown. There's a flood wall that runs along the river and protects Paducah in the event of a flood. And a local artist has spent years decorating that wall with scenes that depict Paducah's history. Everything from Native Americans that were the area's earliest inhabitants, the European settlers that came later, shipbuilding, riverboats, the Civil War. Paducah's most famous resident, Alvin Barkley, who went on to become Vice President of the United States under Harry S. Truman. And lots of murals about trains, because Paducah has a long history with trains. There was a big railroad maintenance facility here for a long time where they used to work on maintaining and repairing trains, and it was a big employer back in the day. Right next to the murals that are painted on the flood wall alongside the river, they've even got a very well-preserved old train on display, and it's led by a beautiful old steam locomotive. I'm a train fanatic, so that was very cool for me to see. I also enjoyed touring a railroad museum that they have here in Paducah. And again, American Cruise Lines covers the admission charge for any passenger that wants to visit the railroad museum. It's a fairly small museum, but I got a kick out of it. One of my hobbies is model trains. I browse through my YouTube channel and you'll find lots of videos of my model trains. I run G-scale model trains at my house, the big ones, and I got a kick out of seeing this G-scale model train on display at the museum. Perhaps the coolest thing they had at Paducah's Railroad Museum was this full-sized train simulator. You can sit here in this simulated cab and see what it's like to be a railroad engineer. You've got a full set of controls to operate, and you can see what a very limited field of view the engineer has as he looks down the tracks. It really was a great little train simulator they had set up at the museum. Paducah sits right along the Ohio River, so it has a very rich history with riverboats and the maritime industry. These are shots from the Maritime Museum in downtown Paducah, another place that American Cruise Line guests can visit, and ACL will cover the admission fee. They had lots of models of riverboats, a big display about how Paducah fits in to the overall river system in this part of the United States, an interesting display about the big flood that hit Paducah in 1937. And just like the train museum had a train simulator, the Maritime Museum has a ship simulator, a full-size mock-up of a ship's bridge. And you can see what it takes to control a big ship on the river. By the way, bravo to Paducah for appreciating and valuing the arts. They've got an amazing-looking performing arts center in Paducah. I only saw it from the outside, but it looks like it must be fairly new and modern and much larger than I'd expect to see in a city this size. That must have cost a lot of money to build. So I found Paducah to be a very interesting place to visit. It's somewhere I never would have visited if I hadn't taken this cruise with American Cruise Lines. And that is an aspect of river cruising that I really enjoy, getting to see and explore parts of the United States that I've never been to before and probably wouldn't ever get to if not for this cruise. As we look at this aerial video from my drone, I want to just mention that if you're interested in booking a cruise, either with American Cruise Lines or any of the other cruise lines, I want you to feel free to use the services of my travel agent, Caitlin Gallagher. There's her contact information on the screen. Well, that's it for part 2 of my series about my cruise through Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama with American Cruise Lines on their newest ship, American Serenade. I'll be posting a new video once a week every Saturday until I've covered this entire trip. Next week in part 3, if you like music, you're going to love this. Muscle Shoals, Alabama. I tour 3 different recording studios where so many hit records have been recorded over the years. Also, I've got some dramatic video to show you in the next episode when a thunderstorm rolled into the area and our ship sailed right into it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so that YouTube will let you know when episode 3 comes out next week. I'm Jim Zim. Thanks for watching.